All right. So tell me how about the first gig you ever had.
Well, the first Fuzztones gig was in 1980. We actually played at, I believe, we played at Club 57 in New York City, which was a real little hole in the wall that was actually a club for 57 artists and performing artists, and they were the only members, no outsiders. And
it was in the basement of a Polish Byzantine Catholic church.
Yeah. And usually they didn't have bands. In fact, I think maybe one other band ever played there. They had performance art. They would do anything from, say, a glue sniffing party that would be under the auspices of putting together model kits. And so they would put tables out, and for your admission you would get a model kit and a tube of Testor's cement, and everybody would sit in a line and work on models all night long to music, and then you could sniff, and if you got caught, if you got busted, you were doing something legal. You were making model kits. They had a striptease show where everyone in Club 57 got a chance to get up in front of everyone and strip.
They had a group of women, which I was a member of, that was called the Club 57 Ladies Auxiliary Club. And it was just a lot of girls from bands and then performing artists and painting, painters and everything. And we kept a secret file on all these boys. So whoever dated one or another boy, we kept a secret file on them so we could look them up to see how they rated. So
it was extremely explicit. It was called the Secret Boy File.
The Secret Boy File. And then so we formed a wrestling team. And so we would put on performance art as wrestling women in different costumes. And then some of the boys would be our managers. That's the kind of thing that would go on there. Ann Magnuson, who is a famous film person now, started out there. Kenny Sharp started out there as a famous artist, and Keith Haring started out there. We all hung out together. He painted the walls down there, and we used to have blacklight parties and trim and do mushrooms. Kenny Sharp would do a blacklight party and do the walls, paint all the walls. Kenny and Keith would paint all the walls in day glow paint and black lights, and that's was one of the times at the Fuzztones, our first shows, one of the blacklight parties.
And the night we played there, the first time we played there, at the end of the show, I felt a draft. And I looked down, and I was hanging totally out of my pants. No one told me, so I don't know how long I was like that for the show.
Your pants split.
And we had topless go-go girls painted in day-glow colors.
Paint, yeah.
When we started out, we weren't all that serious. We started the Fuzztones rather frivolously, because we were in a very sort of I wish I could think of the name for it, but we were in a band before the Fuzztones that didn't take things too seriously. We were called Teen Appeal, me and Deb. We were together for 4 years, and it was bubblegum punk. So it was like music very influenced by the Archies and Monkees and the Dave Clark Five, but with a punk beat and punk sensibility, and nothing was sacred, especially lyric-wise. And so by the time we did the Fuzztones, we started getting very seriously into that music, which was a music that I had played when I was a teenager. It just seemed around 1980 to be the natural progression of music to start digging up the fuzz boxes and vintage guitars and going back to the garage, which isn't really all that different from what Patti Smith and Television, Richard Hell were doing. They really drew a lot on that era of rock and roll. And
I think we were also just rebelling too. It was at a time in the early 80s when English synth pop was very big.
Yeah.
And dominating all the clubs and dominating, the radio and everything. And We hated it. We just hated it. We wanted to bring more like louder, you know, grungier sounds, you know, to the music scene, but still be into our roots of 60s rock. So.
You have to pee? No. Okay.
This
You
is
can
Captain
hang out.
Kurt.
Tour manager. This is the
Captain
boss.
Kurt, our boss.
Hello?
Captain Kurt, how you doing?
This is the
He's
first
the
tour
Bavarian
manager.
bear.
This is the first tour manager that we've had that stayed with us for the whole entire tour without cracking.
So
because
far, it's
because
not
he
over
is
yet.
Well, there's
because
always
he
tonight.
is of strong Germanic
He
descent.
still has 12 hours to go.
He still has
So
tonight.
don't say that yet.
You have to go all the way to Ireland, you know?
Ireland.
Ireland, yeah.
Why?
Because Gabriel has some ancestors there.
Maybe.
Who's
yeah.
going on the
I'm
Just
fucking
kidding.
about my own.
And then again, I got friends in Dublin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he prefers
Bono? Do you know Bono?
German
No,
beer.
no, Aidan Lowry.
That's we have an expert here.
Ah,
There it
yes,
is.
she prefers. Oh, you know, neither do I. I'm glad to hear.
Gabriel, what about you? You know, you entered the band like so. Sorry.
What?
What? You were like, you know, you entered the band that they were already famous, and isn't it? It's like
Well, I
you-
entered at a pretty odd point because it was when it was like
You
the
can say
short reformation that had two of the Bomboras in it, and Jake, who is an ex-Fuzztone member from the early 90s.
Yeah, because we
How did it
probably had
feel,
about
yeah?
6 lineups.
How did it feel, you know, being on stage with a Fuzztones?
Well, great, but actually it really hasn't hit its stride until now, I think. You know.
You can start over,
Which
it's like
is-
just include some part of the question, just it felt good. Something like that.
Well, let's see. It felt natural. The music feels natural to play, and of course psychologically, you know, I had to get over you know, working with musicians, or you know, at least Rudi, who's I think is a
Genius.
A genius.
Lord.
And you know, that was a psychological barrier in the beginning, but musically I felt comfortable, and so you know, I just tend to follow that. And you know, I think the lineup when I joined wasn't so hot, in my opinion. Although the singles are very good, but live I think wasn't quite up to par. But I think we started to hit our stride about a year or two ago, and I feel totally in sync, especially with the new drummer that we have right now. Is just incredible.
What do you
And,
mean the live didn't hit off?
Well, I don't know. What the show? What we did the Shakedown. What were the first shows I did? The Garage.
The Fuzztones have always had what I like to call the Fuzztones curse. This sounds.
I had to get used.
This sounds
to
absurd.
equipment. Actually, he's right. I had to get used to things breaking down every show.
night. Every night.
So-
It happened here.
You know, and that's a severe. You know, like when you're not used to that.
Do we need to switch off the heating?
Please.
Yeah,
Please,
please. Yeah,
that's
it's fucking
fine.
hot.
Yeah, after the show and
There's
I'm a
a-
big sweaty mess, I'm probably gonna expire.
Probably just the radiator. Or
It might be the cooler, actually.
I
It
think
might be
it's probably
the
the fridge.
refrigerators.
shall we turn the switch?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If you don't have ice, then you might as well
Oh,
just turn
just
the
off
whole
the
damn thing. Thank
Because
you.
it's not really making anything cold anyway. In
Nah, no, everything's
No, I
really
think
warm, so
maybe the
screw it.
compressor's
Yeah.
having a problem or something. That's
Do you have
probably
ice at the bar?
Sorry?
Do you have ice at the
I
bar?
should have, yeah.
Fucking A. I'll have to get some later.
Okay.
Thanks.
See you later.
Hey, listen to this. That's pretty cool. Hey, you want to hear something funny? This band that's playing right now opened for us in 1985 in England,
In England.
and they're still
Right,
together too. They must be as
Smell like
insane
garlic.
as we are.
Me? Yeah, I love garlic.
Can you start over that thing about
The
yeah.
Fuzztones curse?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, that's something breaks down at least once a night, or at the bare minimum. I don't think it's ever been less than 2 things, actually.
I think it
And-
started a long time ago when Rudi used to wear a mojo hand.
well, see, I used to experiment with voodoo, and the more I experimented with it, the worse things would happen to me. I stopped for a while, but it still happened, so I figured I might as well start up again.
He's
since-
picked up a few friends, I think, in the invisible world. maybe.
We have an entity that's traveling with us on this tour. His name is Screamin' Jay Hawkins, and he's with us every night on this tour. And when he was alive, and he was my friend, he was a very mischievous guy. He liked to play jokes at your expense. And he does it to us a lot. And I always know it's him because I knew him very well, and I know what his sense of humor is. His sense of humor is to do things like this. When I'm driving home at night to my house, he turns the lights off on my car at a specific point in the highway where there are no lights. Stuff like that. He thinks that's really funny. And this the kind of stuff you'll see tonight. If you film the show, you're going to see tonight at some point something drastic will go wrong.
Well,
We've come to the point where we just know it. We know it and we accept it.
Nothing happened.
But the other night we were doing a song that I always play guitar on. And maybe this is Jay's way of telling me the song wasn't arranged correctly. The other night we were playing this song and my guitar just stopped working, period. So I went over to the drums and I started playing drums with Ramiro. And it turned out to be the best version of the song. My opinion is that's the way it should have been. Jay was just telling me, fuck that guitar, go over there and play the drums. I got to do this primitive jungle beat. Well, that's what Jay loves. So it just makes sense, you know? So I kind of go along with my instinct because what instinct really is telecommunication with spirits. So I make all my decisions by the first instinct that I get. Whatever I receive, I just go with. I've learned over time that always works. If you listen to the voices in your head and you go along and do whatever they say, you'll be just fine. When you battle them with logic, you're fucked.
But isn't that just your true self telling you that you're right all the time?
Well, that's the mystery. Who's it gonna ever know? I don't know. It's faith. It's what you believe in. You know, I believe my guardian angel right now is Screamin' Jay Hawkins. Okay, and I believe that he wants to help my career. As nuts as that may sound, I don't really care, but that's what I believe. So, because I knew him as a person, and the things that happen to me now, and have happened consistently since his death, make me believe that he's still with me. He called me the night before he died, but he didn't talk to me. He used to call me, and he was old, he was in his 70s, and he was kind of senile. He'd always forget that I didn't have a fax machine. And the way I would always know he was trying to reach me is he would call, and I would pick up the phone, and I would hear beep, 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 beep. No one else ever did that, just him. And it would happen at 3 o'clock in the morning. And we were already arranging for the very original lineup of the Fuzztones to reform and do an entire tour with Screamin' Jay Hawkins because we did that record back in '84. And it was all arranged. Screamin' Jay sent me a written agreement that I now own that record that we did. And we talked once a week about this tour, and he was very excited to do this tour. He called me up one night, and I couldn't answer because he was doing that fax machine, and the next day he was dead. I don't know what he had to tell me, but I know that ever since that time, he's with me now. And certain people who fuck with me find that out as well. You'll have to just go into history and find out what happens next. But I find that whenever anyone does anything bad to me, they suffer.
That's like a hint for the editing.
Watch out.
Just watch out what you said back. Isn't it touring hard, you know, to be up to standard like every night? To have to actually, you know, it's like a performance. Maybe,
you know what it's like? It's like sex. It's just like sex. Try to imagine that you're supposed to have incredible sex every night. Your partner is supposed to think you're the very greatest lover he's ever had every single night. That's exactly what it's like to be the Fuzztones. The whole audience is your lover, and you'd better make them come every night. If you don't, you're not you're not the greatest lover in the world, and you're not the Fuzztones, see? So the way we look at it is we have to make love to the audience musically. They have to come away from the show with an afterglow. If they don't have the afterglow, we haven't succeeded. And I have to say, on this whole tour, which is about 20 shows, I believe, they've had afterglow every night. And we're old motherfuckers, especially me. I'm as old as water, and I can still deliver the goods.
So this is the last day of the tour, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
willing to get back home?
No.
No, we want to keep on.
I'd rather do this I'd like to do this every day of my life.
I was thinking when you were saying about bad things during gigs, it was really weird when I was back in Athens at the show. You know, there's a really big anti-war thing in Greece, and we were backstage, and someone told me, you know, they were throwing things. You know,
Yes.
like
They threw many napkins. I guess they get them at the bar, you know, like cocktail napkins, and they wrote on them "Fuck the USA." Fuck the USA all over them. They threw
There's
them up
about
on
300
stage.
of
There
them,
was
I
a
think.
lot
Wasn't
of
there?
them. They threw them up on stage, but you know, we didn't take it really as an insult to us because you know we were also expressing our sentiment about.
We say fuck the USA every
about
goddamn
what was
day.
going on with the war and everything, you know, a month ago, and some of our songs are about that also. So
We have at least 3 or 4 anti-war songs that we've recorded over the years, way before this was even an issue.
I mean, Rudi had to dodge the draft for Vietnam.
Yeah.
So
When I was 17, I was number 3 on the draft lottery. In America, we had a lottery where, according to your birthday, you received a number. And the very, very low numbers were the first to go. My number was 3. Okay? When I went to get my draft physical, you just went to the, wherever, you know, I don't know what they called it, but you go to this place to get your draft physical. And because of the extremely strong anti-war sentiments at the time, they had buses outside. And if you passed the physical, you didn't go home and pack, because you might go to Canada. You went directly on that bus. You didn't call mom and dad and say bye-bye. You went to the bus, directly to the barracks, got trained, go to Vietnam, get your fucking head blown off. So it was a little nerve-wracking for a 17-year-old boy who wasn't, by the way, allowed to drink or allowed to vote. But you were allowed, in fact, you were forced to fight. And that's what we call in America freedom. So that's where the anti-war songs come from and stuff.
so it didn't affect you during the gig, you know, the creating sentiments that you know,
you know what?
negative
I made it
feeling
a little
in
more
the
exciting,
They made it
actually.
exciting.
No, the
you know.
Greeks are really, really extremely passionate people, and we're very passionate about this whole war bullshit too.
And I
So
think
you know
they're
what? They were just
educated enough too to know
that
that there's a separation between the leaders and the public of the United States.
I think all they were doing was echoing our sentiments. We feel the same exact way, you know.
Has anything happened in the past that you had a very negative audience and it reflects your playing? Like,
well, the very first tour that we came on was here in England, and we played with a punk band. I mean, they were known for being a punk band, The Damned, and that was back in 1984 or 85. But even though The Damned wasn't really like doing punk music anymore, because they had kind of a very goth record at the time, goth psychedelic almost. And but we played in some places like in northern England and in Scotland and stuff where they were very still punk still. So they were gobbing on us on stage. And gobbing is when you and spit on people, and it's
And not just
nice.
a little bit.
I mean, a lot.
At the
It's
end of every
very
show,
gross.
we would be entirely covered with gob. And what a lot of people don't even stop to think is, what does a touring band do as far as washing clothes? When you're on tour for 3 months, Do you really think we ever get a chance to go to a
Wash our
laundromat?
clothes in sinks and hang them out the van window and hang them out the windows of the hotels, and you're stomping them with your towels from the hotel to help dry them out, and doing them with your hair dryers, and yeah. So that was very negative for us, and it was, and the Dam didn't like it either. They were doing it to them, and they were getting, it's like that's not what we do anymore. That's over.
And the kids who were doing it, they became artists. They became... You would go to sing, and they would wait for the singer, which is me. They would wait for me to come up to the microphone and open my mouth so that they could gob into it.
Yeah.
They would wait for you to do a guitar solo so they could gob right on your guitar neck.
Yeah, they would have little competitions, I think, between themselves to see what they could aim for and hit.
Now, if they ran out of gob, a beer bottle would do, or a lit cigarette. And at that time, that was our very first major tour. We did a minor tour before that. But I'm the sort of person, especially back then when I was younger and full of vinegar and piss, that would aggravate me. So I would egg it on. And I would, show them my ass, tell them to kiss it, tell them to quit spitting up their AIDS virus because they were all a bunch of homos. And then that would get them really, really psyched and do it some more. Then I'd go backstage and the band would be pissed off at me. But they were going to do it anyhow, so you might as well make it a show. But the very worst that I can remember, and we've had a lot, I was in Belgium in '88, and the Fuzztones were playing at a festival. And we were playing with several bands, which included the Meteors, and the Meteors didn't show up on time. And so the promoter decided for us to play in place of the Meteors. And we had 10,000 people there, and they were all lined up in this huge tent. And in the front, there were 7 skinheads. 7 out of 10,000. But those 7 scared the shit out of the 10,000 people who were there. So we got on stage, and it was a long stage, and it was about 10 foot tall. And we start the set off, and I'm way back at the drums. Everybody else is right up front. But I see these skinheads, and they're gobbing, and they're throwing bottles, and they're giving the finger, and they're really, really harassing the band. And I wasn't in a good mood anyhow, because I hadn't slept for 3 days because I was up having sex every night. Because back in those days, girls used to actually have sex with band people, before the media told them that that wasn't proper. So I'm there, and I see my bass player take off his bass and jump off the stage to hit someone with a bass. From the angle that I was at, I didn't see that there was a little camera person pit, where the cameraman would take photos of the band in this little pit. I couldn't see it from where we were. All I saw is he jumped out in the audience. And I'm looking out in the audience. This is on the first song. And I see these skinheads, and one of them is about 7 foot tall. And he's just pissing me off so much. He hates us so much. It just pissed me off. You see in his eyes, he just hated us. Fuck you, I want the Meteors. And I just ran. And I got these Beetle boots here, see these? And I ran, and I leaped sideways, and I kicked that motherfucker right in the face with these. Off of a 10-foot stage, as hard as I could. There's no way in hell, to this day, that guy's face isn't over here. I fucked his face up for the rest of his life. There's no doubt about it. But even when I did it, even when I was sailing through the air, I knew damn well that the minute I dropped, his 6 friends were going to kick the living fuck out of me. I knew it, and I did it anyhow. That's rock and roll, and a lot of booze. I dropped, and the first thing I did is I huddled up like a turtle, because I knew I was going to get kicked. and they all just started stomping on me. And we were playing with a band called the Urban Dance Squad, who I've never even heard. I don't know anything about the band other than they're called the Urban Dance Squad, and they have a black singer who, I hear, jumped out, pulled me out of the crowd. I've never met him. I've never heard the band. I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you. You are A1. A1. I never met him. I'd love to meet this guy. He probably saved my life. Really. And he must be one tough motherfucker.
Maybe he was one of Jay's kids.
You know what I mean?
He had 72 of them, you know.
But that was one. We've had a lot of crap like that. You know, people, I don't think they always do it intentionally or with a bad intention. But, you know, you get these people who get so into the music that they lose control. And they'll like grab your mic stand and shove your mic into your face and knock your teeth out. And when that happens to someone on stage, for me, for instance, when I'm on stage, I get this adrenaline rush. So if someone shoves a mic stand into me, or a mic into my face, I might just jump off the stage and hit them. Maybe I won't. It depends on where the adrenaline level is, you know? But I mean, when you're rocking and someone does something stupid, you don't know what you're going to do. You don't even think about it, you know what I mean? And I mean, now, you know, I'm an old guy, but I used to just jump out in the audience and pound people all the time. And this one time, this guy did this, and I just jumped out and I took my guitar and I just pushed this guy through the audience all the way to the back of the venue. You know, it's like a quarter of a mile. I rammed him up against the wall with my guitar, and the minute I did it, I saw a fist go in his face. My bass player had followed me right out there just so he could deck him, you know? We had another time where my bass player was getting wild with the bass, and he lifted it up and he accidentally hit a girl over the head. Knocked her unconscious. She had to go to the hospital. Wouldn't you believe? The next week we played somewhere and she showed up. She wanted to screw him. It's the old caveman thing. Bop him on the head, drag him off to your cave by the hair.
Me, Tarzan, you, Jane. Come on, man.
Who would have known?
No. Ah. Oh. I don't know if I would feel the same way if someone bopped me over the head.
Now, a lot of things have changed over the years. It's nowhere near as wild as it used to be.
Hey, we had some wild experiences.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I'll tell you this.
People jumping up on
I'll tell you this.
stage.
We've been playing for a month now. And what I have noticed is very similar to what I noticed with the Damned. When we started off with the Damned, no one had heard anything like us. We were the first garage revival band to come over to Europe. I hate that term. We play rock and roll that's 60s inspired, but it needs a term. That's what they called us. And we were the first to come over here and expose this to people. And at first they were very resistant. But they were following the Damned every night, and they had to hear us. And after a while, they started to dig it. Those people still come. They'll be here tonight. Yeah. You'll meet loads of people tonight who'll say, I saw you in '85. They're still following the band in 2003. And
we've actually met people. Last year we met somebody on the road who had seen us on our first European tour, and he brought his 14-year-old daughter. Was she 15, 16 or something? She was 16, 17, around there. But
she was 14, 15, 16, or 17. One of those.
Well, how old was she? She was pretty young. But he brought her along to see us. He wanted her to see us.
And she looked just like me.
Oops. It was his daughter, he said.
Well, yeah, that's what he was told.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah. I always believed this is another thing that's really important. I always believed in the preservation of rock and roll. And in my opinion, the Fuzztones' real goal has always been, to supply Europe with little Fuzztones who will grow up and propagate.
You mean like our drummer?
Yeah. And so in 1987, we started what was called the Paisley Pussy Posse. And that lineup of the band was dedicated to basically being the Johnny Appleseeds of rock and roll and planting our seeds all over Europe and creating as many little Fuzztones as possible. And I've noticed, as we come back now, in 2003, a lot of little kids with black hair and bone necklaces, 13, 14-year-old kids, especially in Italy, playing garage rock. So I think we've accomplished something. You know, I think it's an important thing that we're doing for the world. We're keeping rock and roll alive. And sometimes you have to make the ultimate sacrifice to do that.
It's kind of like a scientific experiment.
It was an experiment. Yeah. Yeah.
The coolest thing is that you're following my questions. You know, that's cool. That was a question, so you know I'm covered on that part. I was, you know, how's it feeling? You know, because you've been a band like for a long time, and you see like 15,
and we've been a
16 years old.
dysfunctional family for even longer. Do you know that me and Deb were married? Common law. From when did we start living together?
1976.
76.
It's about 85.
Yeah, 76,
It's about
76 to
86.
86. 10 years.
10 years.
10 years we endured each other. Yeah.
Oh, endearing.
Well, it started out endearing and ended up enduring.
Yes, endearing to endurement.
Which is like any other relationship, I'm sure. Yeah. But then, see, we made up. And
yeah, it took being on two different ends of the country to be able to
yeah, well, we get along. We get along
again.
really, really good when we're not around each other. We get along best on the telephone. No, we do. I'm serious. I'm serious.
I think all couples have that after a while.
Well, you missed the other night where he totally provoked me and I had to duke him out. That would have been good to have on film. But we
Is there an
kissed and made
end
up.
in your mind?
Aunt?
An end?
No,
An end to this band?
Yeah.
not for me.
I don't know. Sometimes I think about it, and I think about for Rudi because it's been Rudi's passion for so long, and he's kept the band name alive for so long. And I think about him, you know, when he's older, and I think, okay, he's gonna do it. He's gonna still do it. And I think, okay, well, he could either be like coming out on stage with a cane, or he'll use his guitar. But no, I think Rudi will always be, you know, physically fit and be able to, you know, keep it going.
I always looked
Why
at
not?
this very much as the white man's blues. I think garage music is very much the white man's blues, especially the teenagers' blues. White teenagers had no other outlet to cry about women that cheated on them and life and how it wasn't fair. And so they used this form of music to whine and bitch and complain, which is really no different from John Lee Hooker and Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf. You listen to their lyrics, that's all they're doing. They're complaining about the white man holding them down. Well, in reality, that's what the garage people are complaining about. The white man holding them down. You know, it's like Riot on Sunset Strip, or Dirty Old Man, or You Ain't No Friend of Mine. It's all the same thing. It's protest music from teenagers of the 60s, and the fact is, I never grew up. I'm still 16 in my mind. And I act like a 16-year-old because that was the best time of my life, and I can't give it up. I look around and I see what's out there now, and I don't want to participate in it. So I'm a real outsider because I live in my own world, which is a world that I lived in when I was a teenager in the 60s. It doesn't exist anymore, but it exists in my head. And then when people are in the audience and they see me play, it exists for them for the hour that they're in the audience. But that's my whole world all the time. I never leave
We all
it.
do different things.
I don't
still.
go home and put my Reebok sneakers on and go out and play tennis. I don't watch MTV and keep track of Puff Daddy or who's climbing up the charts or whatever people do now. I don't know what they do now. I don't care what they do now. You know, I'm an old stubborn teenager. You know what I mean? I'm in touch with my inner teenager. And as I grow older, I'll continue to do that. You see, John Lee Hooker lived to be about 80-something, and he played until the day he died. Why can't rock and rollers do that? Why is it only okay
Yeah.
for blues and jazz?
Would an
Keith
artist-
Richards
yeah, but
gonna
think
die
about-
playing guitar. There's no doubt
Yeah,
about
but what
that.
about an artist? Does he ever stop painting pictures if he's a true artist?
It's so
does
stupid
he
to
ever,
think that
know-
this is music you can
Well,
only do when you're
mean,
young
to
because you
us,
happen to get
when I
better
was,
at
when
it
I was
as you
talking
go
about
on.
an end,
you
it's
know.
like, an end within you. You will always play, will always do what you do.
And within
Even,
us, with the Fuzztones,
With the Fuzztones, yeah. It's like,
everything comes in cycles. So who knows where we'll go with it? It went through one cycle, it kind of ended for a while, and now it's like starting up, and it's a new
It's
thing. And who
it's like,
knows
do you
how
get
long
energy?
we'll
It's like,
go.
you go to a gig, and it's so much energy, and it's like,
Well, you
it's,
have
it's
to
a
take
refilling
care.
batteries.
Yeah, you have to take care of yourself, and you have to be able to know.
Well, not only that, but it's far past the
And I mean,
the
fact
realm
that,
of making a decision about
you go
it.
to you play in a concert, and it's packed with people, and you see that there's newer generations that are into the Fuzztones, and you see younger
Extremely
kids.
rejuvenating
And
for
this,
us.
yeah. do you feel that there's no end because of that? Because you
No, it has
you
nothing
still
to do with it
inspire
at all.
people, something like that.
Yeah.
For me, I can only speak about me. It has absolutely nothing to do with the audience. I have something I have to say and get out of my system, and I would do it if I was playing for 10 people or if I was playing for 10,000 people. Of course, I'd prefer to play for 10,000 people, but this is the music I love, and I've actually had very famous people offer to produce the band, offer to do this or that for the band, if we would just give in a little bit to make it more commercial. Maybe we can sound a little more like the Cult, or maybe just a little more like this or that, and I never did it. Yeah, maybe I could have made a lot of money for 1 year before they threw me away, and no one will ever remember me again. But I always just stayed true to the music that's in my heart, good or bad, whether people like it or not. I can honestly say, everything you ever hear that we do, that was my decision. You like it or not, but I take credit. Even the In Heat album that I don't like the production on, because it's the only album I didn't produce. We let a famous producer, a legend from the 60s, produce it, and he got it all wrong. But I will say, I agreed to it. It's my fault. I agreed to it. I take total responsibility for everything that's ever happened in this band, good or bad. This was my vision from day one, and we're still doing it. And everybody does it really well. We're all in sync. We all believe in the same thing. And that's the only way you can do it. If you don't have everyone believe in the same thing, you're not going to create anything worthwhile. You might create something that's good for that week, that month. Makes a hit, no one remembers you afterwards. People keep asking me, what do you think of the White Stripes? What do you think of the Strokes? Blah, 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 blah. I think that it's great that they're coming out with guitar music that they call garage, and they're playing it right now. But I will guess that in 2 years you'll never hear of any of those bands. You'll have forgotten all about them. The Fuzztones will still be playing. Never as famous as them, and still playing. That's my prediction.
I just don't know what the future holds.
Well,
And
I
actually,
do,
The guitar
actually.
player of the White Stripes recently said in some press that someone gave to me, and I don't have it here right now, but that we influenced him. He's a fan. And the Strokes and the Hives have also stated that.
A new rock revolution.
Yeah.
The enemies bumbling about. It's pretty crazy in this country about all these bands. I
Yeah.
think it's the first time in England they start,
That's no surprise to
caring
me.
about American bands.
Yeah, the enemy have their heads so severely up their ass. They wouldn't know music if it bit them in the ass. Let me tell you about the enemy.
But it's
When we
good,
used to
though,
play-
that
Well, of
new
course
rock
it's
and
good.
roll is happening.
Of course
Don't
it's
you
good.
think?
Well, when we used to play here, the enemy would do a review, and they would say that I was wearing spandex, and I was calling the audience dude. I don't think I ever did that in my whole life. I don't even have a clue what kind of concert they were at, but it wasn't a Fuzztones concert. Know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, the thing about enemies that
They have a good
when
name,
you're 16,
NME.
No, it's just like when I was,
They're the
when I was
enemy
back
of true
16,
rock and
it was,
roll.
you know, it was the
There-
only thing I
there
could
was this
learn
band
about.
that
Yeah.
did a song called Enemy Maker from Melody Maker and Enemy.
Melody
Squad
Maker's just
Mel-
as bad.
Melody Maker doesn't
Sounds
exist
was,
anymore, but
Melody
Sounds
Maker
was
and
much
Enemy
cooler.
said
Sounds would
write
actually
about
pay
us a
attention
lot.
when you played.
well, it's
Melody
worthwhile
Maker
when you
used
need
to write
it.
about us.
Well,
But
don't get
it's
me
like,
wrong.
you know,
They
when I
started
was
off
16,
liking us,
Yeah.
but what I've also
It was the main
noticed is
thing.
this sounds like you. Enemy has to hate you.
It's fucked up.
Yeah.
I don't like it one bit.
You know, it's a bunch of politics and has nothing to do with music. And we have the same thing in America. It's silly.
But going back to what you were saying before about, you know, seeing the younger people in the audience and that, I find it fascinating to see yet another generation of people into this music and their interpretation of it and some of the new bands that are coming out. And, you know, the way I look at it, okay, so, you know, it just keeps the torch, kind of, you know, keep it going. I don't see anything wrong with that. I find it very exciting and fun and really cool to look out there and see these kids totally into it and they come back and like, wow, I can't believe I'm actually seeing, you know, you and, you know, and Rudi, the original Fuzztones, and I've been really inspired. I would have never known about garage music if I didn't like learn about the Fuzztones and some people have seen us from the past too also, you know, older people like our age say, you know, I never knew about garage music until I learned about the Fuzztones, and then I started really digging and finding things, you know, and listening to music that, you know, you were listening to or playing and finding all this great music that I didn't know about. So I just find it really, you know, inspiring when people tell me that. I feel it's like a gift to be able to be a part of that, you know, to bring that to other people and to another new generation. I feel really lucky to be able to have done that in my life. I'm very happy.
What did you want to say?
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you. First of all, I only have one album of the Fuzztones. It's and yeah, the only song you
Which
have.
one is it?
I don't know how it's pronounced actually. It's Lysergic Emanations, or it's supposed to be, you know, the classic.
Yeah.
That's our
That's
gold
our
record.
classic rock
Classic.
station.
That's our gold
album.
record.
Our classic.
Yeah.
String
rock.
9. I was telling Daniela.
We are now
string
in the
9.
classic rock category.
Yeah, but the thing is that there's only one song that you've composed in this one.
No, there's
Oh,
4.
no, there's-
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was only Ward 81.
No.
Ward 81, Highway 69, Just Once, and She's Wicked.
And She's Wicked.
Yeah.
All right.
You embarrass me.
It's okay. No, I just want to say how come you don't do more of your own songs and you...
We do loads of our own
Yeah,
songs.
we are now.
In
yeah.
Heat was entirely original. The Action EP was entirely original. The new album is half original. But it's very important to stress this point, in my opinion. There are a lot of really, really incredible songs that were done in the 60s by bands no one ever heard of. And it's always been the Fuzztones'
Passion.
philosophy
Or passion.
to expose great music to people,
Well,
whether
that
it's
was all that
ours
was
or
about.
whether it's someone
I thought it
else's.
was, you know,
Yeah.
I was talking
No,
to a
that's
friend
true.
of
There's
mine.
been a
because
lot of-
a lot
a lot
of
of-
people have heard songs, you know,
No, I
that
was
you
talking to a
did for
friend
the
and
first
he said
time
that
by other people. You
in
know,
order
it's
to
Well,
like-
be in a
that's
garage
it.
band, you
We've-
must learn to
we've
play cover as
influenced
well.
people.
That's,
Yeah.
you know, that's the
Yeah.
thing. So.
But we just love that music, so we always, it's fun for us to play those songs too, because we dig them so much, and then we get to put our own flavor on top of it and make it sound like us. We never do songs, you know, covers exactly like the originals. We always change the arrangements around a little bit, make the sounds different, change a keyboard sound, and make them sound like the Fuzztones. But we love those songs and we love those bands, so it's fun for us to do.
Some of the times when we cover something, if you would listen to the original, it's so drastically rearranged, it's almost a different song. And in my opinion, rearranging a song takes every bit as much talent as writing a song. Some of our greatest masters of rock and roll very rarely, if ever, wrote a song. Do you know Elvis never wrote a song in his life? Do you know that? He's the king of rock and roll. Never wrote a song.
Exposed by the media.
Jerry Lee Lewis, the real true king of rock and roll, wrote 5 or 6 songs.
Well,
But
yeah,
yet,
as I
when
was
you
saying,
listen to
that's,
them, when you listen to Jerry Lee Lewis do a song by somebody else, you listen to it and you immediately think that it's Jerry Lee's. Why? Because he makes it sound like him. When you hear the Fuzztones do Strychnine by the Sonics, you could swear we wrote it. It's no better than the Sonics, but if you put it up to the Sonics version, it's entirely different. It screams the Fuzztones. The Sonics scream the Sonics. But our version is extremely our own. And we try to do that with everything that we cover. And the reason we cover things is to bring it to the audience, to make them aware of it. It's very obvious we can write songs. If you look at our albums, we have loads of originals, and it's really important, in my opinion, for people to check out what originals we write and find out that they're really good. I know a lot of bands that are supposedly our competition that couldn't write a song to save their life. They'll write a whole album of songs, but they're crap. I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people just can't write songs. We choose to write good songs. Now, if we can only write 5 good songs in an album, that's what we'll put on. But they'll be just as good as the covers we're doing. There will be no filler, ever. There's never been one single filler cut on a Fuzztones album, and never will. The originals have to be as good as the covers. We have millions of covers to choose from, and we only choose the very best ones. Do you understand?
Yeah.
We pick the greatest songs to cover, and then we try to improve on them and make them ours. Take the very best aspects and really bring them out and make them really, really strong. And that's what we do with our own songs as well.
That was out of content a little bit, my documentary. Well, thank you so much. It's been great.
Okay.
And, you know,
Is that it?
just, yeah, thanks. Well,
So now we've put you off.
well, no, it's like it's 47
running out of
minutes, and I
tape.
promise I won't exceed half an hour.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.